and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now call to order the City Council regular meeting in City Hall Council Chambers of 389 Spruce Street, Morgantown, West Virginia, 26505 on Tuesday, December 17, 2024 at 7 p.m. That is also broadcasted live via YouTube at the City of Morgantown YouTube. To order. If the City Clerk will please take roll.
Yes. Bill Kowacki?
Here.
Weezy Michael?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Here.
Danielle Trumbull?
Here.
Dave Harshbarger?
Here.
Brian Butcher? Mayor Abu Ghanem?
Present. All right, and now we have the approval of the minutes for November 26, 2024, special meeting minutes, November 26, 2024, committee of the whole meeting minutes, December 3rd, 2024, legislative session meeting minutes, December 3rd, 2024, regular meeting minutes, and the December 10th, 2024, special meeting minutes. Any changes? Acclamation, are we good? Yep. All right, very good. Correspondence. All right. Let's see. Today is a very important day. Is it watching home and those here present? Please welcome our city manager, Kim Hawes, to the podium for our correspondence today. For those that do not know, Mr. Hawes here has decided to take his retirement, and we have a special proclamation that we left off the agenda for you here today. So I will do my best not to read through this too quickly.
This is a surprise.
That was the goal.
Yeah. They were quiet about
They did a great job. All right. And I'll use my teacher voice so everybody hears me enunciate.
It's the most entertaining.
It is.
Yes.
Whereas Mr. A. Kim Hawes has served as city manager for the city of Morgantown for the past 4 years and devoted 24 years of his nearly 40-year career in public service to helping the citizens of West Virginia, including serving in volunteer roles focused on improving the lives of West Virginians through multiple terms as president of the West Virginia City Managers Association and president of Region 4 Development Council. And whereas Mr. Hawes has shared his vast experience and knowledge of public administration in a number of professional leadership positions prior to coming to the city of Morgantown, including city manager for the city of Bridgeport, West Virginia, city manager for the city of East Palestine, Ohio, and city manager for the city of St. John's, Arizona. And whereas he earned a master's degree in public administration as well as a master's degree in counseling from Northern Arizona University and a Bachelor of Arts degree from Arizona State University. And Mr. Hawes continued his professional development by completing training to become a credential manager through the International City Managers Association and a licensed professional counselor. And whereas Mr. Hawes has provided invaluable leadership and guidance on many significant projects and challenges the city has faced during his tenure, including guiding our city government through the economic downturn and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic by helping the city maintain financial stability with long-term revenue and expenditure planning, completing much-needed public facility upgrades, including the purchase of state-of-the-art training center for law enforcement officers, implementing a staff development program in cooperation with the West Virginia University, and promoting downtown economic growth. And whereas Mr. Hawes' defining focus has been building cooperative relationships with the Monongalia County Development Authority and other local municipalities and promoting economic development by laying the groundwork for the East End Development Project. And whereas Mr. Hawes has chosen to retire on December 20th from his distinguished role as city manager to spend more time with his wife, Tony, their 10 children, and 35 grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Joe Abou-Ganim, Mayor of the City of Morgantown, on behalf of the Morgantown City Council, do hereby express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. A. Kim Hawes for his dedication and commitment to the City of Morgantown, and congratulate him on the occasion of his retirement from the City of Morgantown, and wish him the best and continued success in his retirement and his future endeavors. In witness thereof, I hereto set my hand and cause the official seal of the City of Morgantown to be affixed on this 17th day of December, 2024. Thank you very much.
Be easy.
So, we do want to take a group photo.
Would love it.
Did you want to say something first, or take the group photo first?
I just have to say, I'm never short of words, but first of all, some of you have wondered whether I really have 10 kids. Well, surprise witness tonight showed up, my wife, Tony. I'm sure there were many of you wondered whether I was actually married. Tony, stand up. This is my wife, Tony, of 50 years in about 10 days. And she certainly has been a great support through all of this, through 40 years of city management. One of my 10 kids, Ryan, some of you may know, is here tonight. He's my mainstay and favorite. And I have 2 grandkids here. One is a resident of Morgantown, Savannah Putter. Say hi. Yeah. And Wesley, he's our initiator and our mind. Anyway, I just wanted to let all of you know that, I was telling Mr. Kowacki tonight, or this afternoon, that certainly going to miss projects and working on things and seeing things be accomplished, but it's the people that make a job and make it a home. And so I can tell you now that to culminate 40 years of public service and end it in Morgantown, West Virginia, what a privilege that's been for me. And I want you to know that. As a community, as staff, Emily has been there right together, working some very complex issues together, and I appreciate her. And she's embarking on a bigger adventure than I am, I can tell you that. Anyway, thank you all so much for your support and dedication.
All right, stay right there. I was going to say, we're all going to come up, take a picture, and then we'll get your family in for a picture, too, if they would be so kind. All right.
What do you want us? Like this? Yeah, right in here. Thank you.
Don't make me stand up. They're replacing like a mini.
I'm breaking something. So come on a little closer.
We got the Joe and me.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you. Come on up here. Let's get the rest of the staff.
Yeah.
John, come on up.
Yeah.
Hey, you're
Nice.
there.
John, Jamie, and Brittany.
Someone take a picture for Brad, too. Come on, John. That's what I use here. That's what I use.
It's gonna be on.
Are you sure? Yeah.
I was going to go behind.
There we go.
We're not gonna
Almost like I need to take these.
wait, we got somebody coming around.
Sorry.
All right.
Get over.
I'll hold him in front.
Can you get us all?
There you go.
Horizontal.
There you go.
All right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Now you're family.
Thank you.
Get in here. All right.
All right.
Then you gotta get your family up there.
Yes.
Come on. Get.
We gotta have the best looking people in the picture.
There you go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Take another one. And another 2. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
You bet, thank you.
Lastly, before you go, we have one more. There you go. Be careful. It's as heavy as a brick.
Exactly as heavy as
Probably one of the pieces of concrete that came out of this building when we did it.
Actually, that's very accurate. Yes.
Pretty close.
Well, I'll be darned.
Heavy as a brick.
Look at that. Morgantown, West Virginia. Isn't that cool?
Don't hurt anybody.
Did it come out of here?
It didn't come out of this building, but there was quite a number of Morgantown, West Virginia bricks that came up during the Richwood work. So, again, a culmination of your efforts.
Do I open this now or for Christmas?
You can open it now.
Just what I needed. Candy canes? Ah, now that is cool. Morgantown, West Virginia. That's a big coffee mug. Thank you all.
Thanks,
so much.
Might want to support the bond of that back.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
All right. And then, all right, now we got to change pace for a second. Okay. Next we have, and also before we move on, I also would like to express my gratitude to you, Kim. You were the first person I actually met here in council chambers when I was interviewing for the first ward appointment. I was nervous down there and sweating because it was summertime and I was in a three-piece suit. And he said, "Oh, you'll be just fine," and then gave me a nudge on the shoulder and said, "You'll go get him." So I appreciated your confidence in me, even though you had no idea who I was.
And now look at you in your holiday cat
I know.
jacket.
I tried to stay festive.
Jeez. Thank you, Joe.
All right. And now we're going to go to our presentation of the Pathways to Help with our own communications director, Mr. Brad Riffey. And Brad, if you would be so kind as to turn the microphone to face you.
Certainly will.
To the Hawes family, it was very nice meeting you.
Thank you.
All for coming, and thank you for allowing us to get to know your dad and husband.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking care of them.
Normally, I would say that's a tough act to follow, but I think it's more appropriate to say it's the best act to follow. But I know I will certainly miss you and appreciate your leadership. The last 4 months with the city of Morgantown, I just would like to thank everybody. This community is incredible. There's so many people who are just willing to step up and do the right thing for people. So it's been an honor to work for you, sir, and our team. Just an incredible staff all around. So I'm happy to be here and I'm blessed. So thank you. Tonight I'm here to present our Pathways to Help initiative, providing assistance to those in hardship. First, I would like to express my gratitude to each of you and thank you for your leadership as well. Your thoughts and ideas have been instrumental in the formation of this initiative. Providing assistance to those in hardship is the main focus. And we present Pathways to Help this evening, and as we do it, we would like the community to remember that this platform is just the beginning of our commitment to enhance the support we provide to our residents, businesses, and visitors. We look forward to collaborating with council Many of you have already offered valuable feedback, and for that we are extremely grateful. We see this as an initiative that will constantly evolve into something bigger and better. That is our hope. So what's the goal? The goal of Pathways to Help is to connect residents with essential resources to meet their needs or the needs of others, utilizing services like West Virginia 211 to link individuals with local providers in Morgantown and across the state, specifically providers who offer life-saving and life-changing services and programs. West Virginia 211 is a service that is made possible by the West Virginia 211 Board and operates out of United Way offices across the state. So that has been incorporated into this platform. Often, citizens try to provide assistance to those in hardship but are unaware of the resources that are available at the local level. So we hope this platform will bridge that gap between the community and the available resources that we have right here in our hometown. I think we all share the common goal of providing long-term solutions to the long-standing social problems that exist in our communities. The city believes that Pathways to Help will give us the opportunity to engage our citizens and deliver the valuable information they need to effectively respond to someone who is experiencing maybe any type of social crisis. As most of you know, I'm a former United Way director. These types of initiatives are near and dear to my heart. I get a little choked up when I think about all the folks we've interacted with over the years, and I see a lot of that great work here in Morgantown, right? If not, maybe more so here in Morgantown. So I appreciate everybody who's a part of any initiative that in some way, shape, or form gives back to the people. And I'm extremely grateful that we work with so many groups and people who share a community service mindset. In my experience, the number one reason why people fall into despair is because they are disconnected from community, period. Another goal of this initiative is to strengthen our sense of community as well, and I'm certain this already has. Super excited to see how many different layers we can put on top of this as we move forward. Plus, we hope this encourages citizens to get more involved with some of the amazing charities and nonprofits who are doing the heaviest lifting when it comes to providing support to those who need our help the most. Moreover, to effectively share Pathways to Help resources, the City of Morgantown plans to roll out a public education and awareness campaign that reaches all corners of the greater Morgantown area. So stay tuned. We're super excited to work with everybody to get your feedback and ideas to see how we can add to this. More exciting initiatives to come. Now I'd like to share what Pathways to Help looks like on our website here. And I do want to point out that this isn't in the most prominent location right now, but as we roll this out, when this officially launches, hopefully this week or early next week, we plan to make that a little bit more accessible. Great. So as you see, we added this to our website. I think it's a great resource. Folks are visiting the city of Morgantown. They're going to have the opportunity to also view information that would possibly link them or their neighbor to valuable resources in our community. If you scroll down, you'll see that we have included just a general overview of the program, the initiative, and what it entails. And if you go down just a little bit further, you'll see that we have an accordion set up. I want to thank our staff, Holly and Shannon. We have a fantastic communications and marketing team, and with this platform, like I said, we hope to add layers, but starting here, we've listed, going back to the agencies I mentioned, the folks in our local community who are doing the heaviest lifting right now. And if you take a look back there, we've listed Grace Shelter. That's just one example of the information. The Salvation Army, Health Right, but more information is included on this. Ultimately, our goal is to get people to 211 because really they have the database that's extensive enough for us to get them to the right place. But this is a great starting point, and it serves as a platform to connect them to where they need to go. We also included health services, food services, shelter and housing resources, transportation resources. I know the city, we're very active in making sure that folks have the opportunity to obtain access passes to get to where they need to go. We thought that that was an important aspect of this. And as we scrolled down, domestic violence resources and veteran resources, I want to thank some members of council who have made some wonderful suggestions. Please know that this is just a starting point for us. We hope this, like I said, evolves. And if you have any ideas or if there's things you would like to incorporate, we will continue to do that. So I really want to thank you all very much for this opportunity to share this. We as a city are always just, and as a department, trying to increase and enhance our communications with the public. So we see this as definitely a valuable tool. And lastly, I'd like to thank our Pathways to Help partners, including United Way of Mon and Preston counties, WVU, Mon County itself, Mountain Line Transit Authority, Catholic Charities, Main Street Morgantown, the Morgantown Area Partnership, and other local agencies. We actually have a few in attendance tonight to show their support. So it really takes us all when we look at the bigger picture, and we definitely have the folks here who are willing to throw their ideas in the pot and come out with the best solution. So with that being said, may I answer any questions?
When do you expect this to go live?
Hopefully this week.
Very good. Access is from when we saw it last, we saw that there was a QR code that you were offering.
Yes, sir.
And you are going to distribute that QR code. My understanding, you're going to make that available as a poster that could be posted in downtown stores and what have you. Can you speak to that a bit?
I certainly can. So I think this is going to give us it's going to open doors for us to engage our community and local business owners. We can take something like that right there and we can put it in local businesses. And if a customer comes in and they see somebody who needs help, or maybe their neighbor, they're thinking about their neighbor and their neighbor needs in-home care and they're not sure who to call, they can scan that code, and Pathways to Help can direct them to 211 or another resource that can answer that question for them. So yes, we hope to include that in our rollout as we connect with local businesses and residents here in Morgantown.
And I don't mean to prod on further, but
Sure.
how easily will this be accessible from mobile phones, for example? I know that our population, the ones that we're concerned with mostly
Right.
frequently are in possession of a mobile phone as opposed to a PC or laptop, or accessibility from a web standpoint.
You should be able to scan the QR code using any phone. If they're connected to Wi-Fi, we understand that that's not an option all the time. So we did include can't scan, dial 211. But I do want to mention, and I do want to point out that some phones use voice over internet protocol, VoIP, or Wi-Fi calling, and it might not allow the caller to reach West Virginia 211. So if that's the case, callers are encouraged to dial, and we've included that number as well, 833-848-9905, which is a toll-free number. And hopefully that will get them connected. And 211 is, coming from United Way of Harrison and Douglas counties, is a heavily utilized service in our community in Harrison County. And we thought that we could connect more people here to that service. So that's why we think 211 is a great starting point. They have a statewide database. They have their own board, their own executive director. It's come a long way in the last 4 years. So if people can't scan, they can call. And we do have a representative right here on Spruce Street, right at our local United Way. So if they're having issues getting in touch with anyone, they can reach out to our local office right here in Morgantown.
Now, if someone scans this and maybe they're hard of seeing or reading,
Sure.
is there anything?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. We do have a tool, the little person there on the bottom of our website. That will enlarge font, and that'll give people the opportunity to adjust some settings, or if they have assistance, someone can help them enlarge, highlight. But also, and we're looking into some voice technology that we could possibly pair with our website. But right now, if you do have Windows, you can turn on the narrator option, and it will read the page to you. So I know that's a concern. Literacy is literacy is a huge focus for a lot of groups, a lot of agencies, and a lot of people. And we want to make sure that everyone has access to these available resources in the community. So we're very mindful of that, and those are hopefully things that we can make even more accessible as we move forward.
Just a comment. I want to thank you, first of all. This is a great service for the people that we hope to provide to. But also, too, I look forward to this as a means of cooperation and encouragement among the groups that are providing these services. So I do hope that I have great expectations for this, and I do appreciate what you've done.
Well, and I appreciate you all. I may not be present for all of your meetings, and I think I say this often, but I always watch, and I take notes, and I listen, and I try to bring all those thoughts and ideas together to benefit the overall goal, and that's to do the best we can for the citizens we serve. And I think that is something that echoes through our leadership here in the city of Morgantown.
Does this QR code right here work?
Yes, sir.
So I guess, Bill, now's the chance. You got your phone.
So Bill would, Counselor would be able
Why
to
don't you open
scan that
it?
and
Give
pass
us
a
a
few
quick
of these
scan.
out if you would like.
Quite quickly, I've already done it.
I'll do it.
There you go.
Thanks, sir.
And there it is.
It works.
All right.
I tried it a million times. I tested it a million times. The last thing I
Now
want
it's
to
a
do
million
is
and one. So
appear in front of council and the QR
then
code.
this is the one
doesn't
time
work.
it doesn't.
Exactly. But really appreciative. We've had some great conversations with groups, various agencies, organizations, and this, like you said, this is just the beginning. So the sky's the limit, really. We're always here to help just connect people more effectively and efficiently, and I guess that's my job here as the PR and Communications Director, and I'm honored to serve in this role. So if you ever have questions at any time, feel free to call me directly, and I'd be happy to answer those
I
questions.
understand. We don't even have to call. You're watching.
I am. Oh, yeah, that's it.
You'll just call us and be like, I saw you pick up the phone.
Right. I have notes on each meeting. So thank you all very much. And I'd like to thank everybody. I'm sure the airport will be mentioned tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with the folks who came out today. I think that was it's not only a huge win for the city of Morgantown and this region, but really the entire state and the area, right, overall. So appreciate you all coming out to support.
Another question?
Thanks again.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Greg.
That's
Have a wonderful
fantastic
evening.
work.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
All right. Next, we have a public hearings. First, we have an ordinance amending section 105.42 compensation of election officials and other expenses. I open this for anyone wishing to comment now. And it's closed. Next, we have the public hearing for the consideration of approval of a second reading of an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement at the Morgantown Municipal Airport. I open that to the floor now. And close. All right. Unfinished business, boards and commissions. I don't think we have any either. All right, then moving on. We have our public portion, which shall be subject to the rules established by council and adopted by resolution. We have a sign-up sheet for the evening. Thank you. I open this now. First, we have Charlie Chico. Welcome.
I'm Charlie Chico. I lived in Morgantown my whole life. I came here tonight to make a formal request for the council to do one of two things. Either not vote on this Raleigh Lane business tonight, or vote it and completely stop it until the people of Morgantown have an open meeting, to have everybody. It doesn't have to be only the people in Evansdale, but delivery trucks, fire trucks, police cars, to be able to attend to voice their opinion on this thing. Either there's never been an explanation about why this has come about, or there was and I missed it. So I'd like to know what brought this on to make Raleigh Lane a one-way street. Can anybody answer that for me?
Sorry, during this portion, we can't respond.
Okay, that's fine. In the 1950s, and I'm old enough to be back that far, part of my family owned and lived in a home on Raleigh Lane. And at that time, WVU had nothing to do with Raleigh Lane because it was all privately owned property and people lived there. But to make the vehicles go to Patterson Drive, I really believe that you're putting a lot of lives in jeopardy. According to the Morgantown Police, the City Fire Department, Mecca 911, there are no reports of accidents on that street, and that goes back to the 1950s, which is more than 70 years. And for somebody to come up now and say that the reason for it is because of all of the accidents, there are none. When the policeman has an accident to investigate, they put the name of the street and the closest side street. It doesn't mean that the vehicles came from that side street. If there was a vehicle, say in front of Kroger, stopped because there's a line of traffic and a red light, and somebody comes from behind and crashes into that car or that vehicle, they put Patterson Drive and they put Raleigh Lane, because Raleigh Lane is the only city street there. And that is a marker for it. Even if there was an accident across the street at the traffic light, from where Eaton Park and Wendy's and all of those restaurants, if they're stopped there and there's a crash, they're still going to mark, more than likely, they're going to mark that it's Patterson Drive and Raleigh Lane, because that's the only city street in that area. If you decide to make Raleigh Lane one way, from Birch Street or Evansdale Drive, whichever you want to call that street that goes to the towers, to go down to Patterson Drive, does that mean that all of the WVU vans, all of the WVU employees, everybody that works there has to go down there? They're not going to be allowed to go back up to Birch Street. And just think about something. If they leave the van there and they have a service call, they have to go to some place like that child care area at Suncrest Park or Cripps Park. They'd have to go down Raleigh Lane, turn right on Patterson, go up University Avenue, down 8th Street, up the boulevard to get to that place. It doesn't make sense to me. It just absolutely does not make sense to me.
All right, sir. The clock means that we have ran out of time because you have 4 minutes to speak.
I hope that you don't do that, because I'm just wondering, if you make it one way and somebody that works there or the vans park that go the wrong way, wonder how many people would get a ticket for going the wrong way on a one-way street. Something that you guys need to think about.
Thank you.
It's just not right. Any questions for anybody? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Larry Hazley.
Larry Hazley, retired sergeant, Morgantown Police. So this evening I had a whole dissertation planned to talk about how closing our plans and putting our pension plans, police and fire pension plans, into the option 2 would cost the city somewhere around $50 million over the course of the next 40 years, where our perspective, using those actual sales and user tax funds, would potentially have our pensions paid for somewhere between 20 and 35 and 2043, which is 21 years, which would open up that sales and user tax to the tune of $2.4 million times that 21 years. I'll let you do the math. On top of the almost $50 million more it's going to cost the city to get to 2064. But I decided I'm not going to waste my time or my breath to talk about that, because in our meeting last week, there were comments made that showed us that your minds have been made up for many years. In fact, Deputy Mayor Saline made the comment that not giving those sales and user tax funds to the police and fire pensions was a strategy to save those funds to be able to afford to close our pensions someday. So that's a direct violation of Morgantown Ordinance 733.15 little b, that roughly states that no person shall use those funds for anything other than what they were allocated for. You can look it up. So shame on you for keeping those funds from the Morgantown Police and Fire pensions for all those years. But it's more of the same take from your police officers and your firefighters. More of the same. It started with taking away comp time, overtime. It's just more of the same. But some of the things that you can't take from us, the friendships that I've made over my 21-year career at the Morgantown Police Department, you can't take those away. Friendships that I've made with community partners, owners of businesses downtown, victims of crimes, families of victims of crimes, you can't take those away from me. You can't take away the camaraderie we feel among our brothers and sisters in law enforcement and firefighting. You can't take that away. You can't take away the sense of family we have among the ranks between firefighters and police officers. You can't take that away. And you know what else you can't take away? You can't take away our pride. It's that pride that when that alarm goes off, that your firefighters and your police officers are still going to show up. Many of you will never experience that sense of family and that sense of pride. Some of you may, but you'll never take that away from us. Merry Christmas.
Next we have Annie Cronin-York.
I'm here for the Human Rights Commission. We had our reception on Sunday, December 10th, and Mr. Quecky stayed for the whole thing, soup to nuts. It was great. And he looked good, too. Weiss was there, and our good mayor was there, unaware that he was supposed to be presenting the awards. But he did anyway, and he did a great job of it. Commissioner Tom Bloom did the introduction for the Morgantown Area Youth Services Project. And Tim Harrison of the West Virginia State Human Rights Commission gave the introduction to E. Fox for her award. Thank you to Champion Trophies and Awards, Beechhurst, who gave us a very good price on the plaque and the award that we gave to the winners. And to the Starbucks, and Don Knotts, who gave us free coffee and milk and cups. And that was lovely. And then there's the manager of Starbucks at Chestnut Ridge. Her name is Manny Doty. I've known her for a couple of years. She's the one who helped us out last year. And she was going to give us coffee and food. And found out at the last minute that she didn't have any food to give us. And so she went home and she baked and baked. And when I went to pick up our goods, we didn't get coffee. We got the cranberry refresher instead and put it in pitchers. Even better, the punch bowl was empty in no time. But she had 3 large trays of baked goods. They were gone in no time. My husband ate the last red velvet cream cheese cookie. I was a bit upset about that, but I'll get over it. But thank you ever so much, Manny, if you're watching or not. But she also came to the reception and stayed for the whole thing. So there's some community participation for you. We had probably 42 people who came to the reception, and it's hard to keep count because the All Center is many small rooms with many, many posters and flags hanging in them at the moment. So I just went from a number of programs I printed compared to how many I had a little left when I was done. But it was quite nice. We had our violinist playing. She played everything from Kansas Dust in the Wind to Bach, Mozart, Fleetwood Mac, Beatles. I didn't notice a bit of it because I was busy. But it went off quite well. It was lovely. And thank you for funding it. Oh, also, we have gotten the results for our Municipal Equality Index for 2024. And we weren't allowed to say anything until a week or 2 ago. But now I'm allowed to announce that. We had the same scores last year, which is excellent news because we had a great score last year. There are 100 possible points to have out of 120, but they only let you count as high as 100. So we have 110 total points, but our score is still 100. But we still have the highest score in West Virginia, as near as I could tell. Huntington is a very close second. They had 108 total points. But this is all about how friendly the city is in employment and discrimination laws, and generally taking care of our LGBTQ plus community. I would say the LGBTQTI plus community, but the Human Rights Campaign, who does the scoring, just uses LGBTQ plus. We have more work to do. I have sent out memos to all on some of the things that we need to fix, and hopefully we can get that done before the next report comes due. So, all said, we've done good, and I believe we are a Gold Star City for Human Rights Campaign. Also, I was asked to audit another municipal meeting in West Virginia on Zoom, which I did because I was asked to help out with related issues. And I must compliment you on the way you run your meetings. These are so much more pleasant than what I watched. And you give people an opportunity to speak. Sometimes people speak over and they're obnoxious like me, but you don't cut people off because 30 minutes have passed. Or you don't want to hear from the next person who's signed up to speak. So thank you for being fair and democratic in your meetings.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thanks. Is there anybody else wishing to speak? You just come on up, say your name and your address. Then you have 4 minutes.
First of all, Mayor, love that suit.
Thank you.
If you're renting it out for any Christmas parties, I'd love to take it. My name is Seth McLean. I'm a WVU student. Own 2 businesses in West Virginia alongside my business partner, Connor Briggs. We've heard about the recent changes to the mobile vending units downtown, where they're wanting to shift it all the way to the end of the street. I just want to, that would be really negative impact on, my business. We started this mobile vending to support ourselves while we work on our other business, which is an advertising agency. We were actually a sponsor for the Ruby series. So we really, we want to make a change and we want to help the community, but something like that would really have negative impact. So, yeah, thanks.
All right. Terrible at public speaking, so I'm going to give this a shot. All right. I'm Connor Briggs. I'm Seth McLean's business partner. We do, like I said, he said, we have an advertising company, and we also have a food vending cart called Motown Munch, and we do that on High Street and Chestnut Street on the weekends. The parking authority, there are issues to move everything down to the end of High Street, such as like the trash issue. I think that moving us will not solve any of those problems. If you just move us down the street, first of all, it is going to negatively impact all of the food vendors. There's much less foot traffic down that way, and everyone's going to fizzle out, and it's not going to be worth it to be out there. We're providing a service to these students and like civilians that are going out downtown, and they're not going to walk all the way down there. They're just going to get an Uber home, or they're going to walk away back up towards the top of High Street. So that's not going to. The city will end up losing money because everyone will end up selling food, and therefore, you guys aren't going to get paid, or like the city's not going to get paid for the parking permits and things of that nature. And the trash issue, I do think, I know it is a problem. There is trash, littered everywhere by the people that are ordering the food, and it's not, I don't think it's necessarily all the food vendors' fault. I know it is partially. I think this problem could be solved as far as like the food vendors' trash. Like I know it ends up overflowing because sometimes they don't bring like their own trash receptacles and things like that for the people that they're serving. But if there is like maybe a trash receptacle specifically for the food vendors, not to be used by anyone else but the food vendors, I think that would be a good solution as far as, just having a place to, throw away our trash. Granted, we can just take that home and throw it away. So, I mean, that's, there's really no excuse for that trash to be there. The grease issue, I know that can be, that we don't actually have like a grease runoff because we don't have like a smoker or anything like that. But those things, if there is like maybe a grease trap or something for the, those food vendors that have excess grease to throw away, I think that could be a solution. I'm running out of time here, but if there is, I don't think moving this away, it's just going to cause the same problem with the trash down the road as it would at the top of High Street. So I don't think that rezoning to the 200 block is going to solve any problems. And the parking issue, as far as like, people getting towed and things like that, if they could put something to block that off, like a barrier or a cone or something like that so people couldn't park there, that would be, I think that would solve that issue pretty easily instead of like, I don't know, just leaving a sign there. People don't listen. So, all right, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak at this time? And that is it for our public portion. We do not have any special committee reports. For the consent agenda, first we have the consideration of the approval of the ordinance amending section 105.42 compensation of election officials and other expenses. We also have the consideration of approval of second reading of an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement at Morgantown Municipal Airport.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I can't remember, we used by acclamation or by roll?
Consent?
Roll.
Okay.
Please.
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Easy Michael,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Brian Butcher. Mayor Buchanan.
Yes, passes 7-0. Under new business, we have first, consideration of a request for exemption from the vacant structure registration. Look to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a single request for exemption from the vacant structure registration requirement. Those by state law and city ordinance are presented to council. This is a scenario where a structure is vacant, but the owner requests exemption for the reason that the structure cannot be occupied for a definite period of time. The city received just one request this year, and it was delivered to council. Request that council entertain a motion to direct staff to schedule a hearing at a time convenient to council and the applicant.
Move to direct staff to schedule the hearing. Second?
Any questions on this one? Okay.
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Weezy Michael,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Brian Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Buchanan.
Yes, passes 7-0. Next, we have the consideration of approval of a resolution appointing an acting city manager. And is this my name right here? Okay. For the explanation?
Oh, I can describe that if you'd like.
Well, I'll give a quick background.
Sure.
For those that have been watching, as you're made well aware, our city manager is retiring at the end of this week. And then our assistant city manager is getting ready to go on leave on the next venture on child number 3. I think it's like a rule when you're city manager, you gotta build up to 10. So with that said, we're gonna need somebody to help with the day-to-day things, so I will let you, Ryan, fill in the blanks on these before I do that.
Great. Yeah, thank you for the context. This resolution will perform council's action in designating an acting city manager pursuant to the city charter to serve for the interim period after Kim makes his retirement effective and the time when council makes its permanent selection for a city manager.
Okay.
Move to appoint J. Damian Davis as acting city manager. Second?
Is that the right order of things?
That works, yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Weezy Michael,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Brian Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Buchanan.
Yes. And then the camera can't face that way, but he's sitting right over there. So, welcome to the show.
Damian, take the wheel.
All right, and congratulations, and we couldn't have gotten someone more knowledgeable to help out and understanding and appreciative, and glad to see you here.
I'm just thankful we redid this room and consider we're there now instead of up front.
If you want, we can roll a chair. All right.
And I did check with him today. He is happy to do it, not long term.
I was gonna say, did anyone ask?
I did.
Next, we have the consideration of approval of a resolution designating authorized signatories and financial institutions. John, you want to come up and give us a quick rundown of what this means exactly?
Thank you. John Ferguson, I'm the finance director. You guys all know me. Thank you. I'd like to start off, if you don't mind, real quick.
Please.
Thank you, sir, for your service.
John, thank you so
Really
much.
do appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So up for vote, or for your consideration, we'd like to update the City of Morgantown's authorized agents for the purpose of transaction of funds with banks and other financial institutions. We have first and foremost our new acting city manager, so that would be Damian. We'd like to list him first. We would like to also...
I don't mean to
Yes, sir.
interrupt you, But Damien, we have like 2 chairs.
That's all right. Sit back here until I need.
He at least moved closer.
All right.
He doesn't
He's
take
getting
over
there.
until the 21st.
Yeah. Not that important yet.
You've always been important to me.
I got you as number 1 on my list. So number 1, we have Damien. Number 2, we have Emily. She is staying the same as assistant city manager. We have myself as finance director. We have Denise Stefanese, the assistant finance director. And then we also have one addition. So that addition is Mel Wiles. Now, she is the executive director of Bow Park. And basically what we're trying to do with this right here is that we're trying to make official our current practice. And our current practice is that not only is Bow Park Mel using us as her backup when any internal transfers need to happen on the United Bank online banking system. So, of course, with United Bank, if one person approves it, we actually need a second person before the submission is processed. So if she needs a backup, we act as her backup, and vice versa. If, for example, I'm not currently in the office and Denise is trying to initiate it, Mel will act as our backup in that particular instance. So we're adding her basically to make official our current practice, and it's only for transfers that occur within the same entity. We're not talking about transfers that happen between the city of Morgantown and Bow Park. We're talking about acting as a backup for, like I mentioned earlier, if we do need to make an internal transfer between the city's funds, or if Bow Park is doing a transfer between their own funds. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And really what it does, it also shows a great cooperation between the two entities. You know, we are really related intergovernmental parties. The relationship that we do have with Bow Park is very significant. It is very helpful, and all we're doing, again, we're just solidifying that. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Move to approve the authorized signatories as presented by John.
Second.
Discussion? All right.
Bill Koecki?
Yes.
Weezy Michael?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull?
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger?
Yes.
Brian Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Abu-Ghanem?
Yes, passes 7-0. All right, next we have consideration of approval of a resolution placing amendment to city charter on the April election in regards to the city manager residency. This was something that had come up, passed by a slight margin, and then there was a, what's the term I'm looking for?
An objection.
An objection, a written objection. And so now it is up to council to put it on ballot, is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. This is a previous charter amendment proposed by ordinance based on the state code procedure for those amendments. Any resident can appear at the public hearing and file a written objection, which prevents the amendment being made by ordinance. At that point, council has the option to either abandon the amendment or place it on a future election ballot. This resolution, if passed by council, would place the proposed amendment on the election in April. The proposed amendment is to change section 3.01 of the city charter to provide that the city manager may reside outside the corporate limits of the city only with the approval of city council.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, I move to, for the resolution to be placed on the April election of the city charter to have the city manager residency contingent on city council's approval.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion? All right, call the question?
Bill Koecki?
Yes.
Weezy Michael?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull?
No.
Dave Harshbarger?
Yes.
Brian Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Abu-Ghanem?
Yes, passes 6-1. Next, we have the consideration of approval of a first reading on ordinance closing the police pension plan to new entrants electing Optional 2, financing method, and authorizing enrollment of new hires in the municipal police officers and firefighters retirement system. And I think it's important to make note that this is on the agenda because last time we voted yes under a contingency of having a meeting, which we all had last Tuesday, at which time I thought was Wednesday. So, yes, last Tuesday. John, if you would be so kind as to come tell us what we're voting on.
Absolutely. So again, this is just a refresher that what we're talking about tonight, and that is changing the funding method of both the police and the fire pension boards. So currently, both boards we are currently funding them using what's called the alternative method, funding method, which means that our current employer contributions are determined by 107% of last year's contribution. So really what that means is that we are funding what we did last year plus an additional 7%. And if you take a look at what that is doing, we are not funding that appropriately, and our liability, our unfunded pension liability, continues to grow year after year after year. Now, this has been an ongoing issue that we are now looking to solve. And I really do appreciate both pension boards. I really do appreciate both the fire and the police. I know Larry was here earlier. Their support, their interactions, that really has helped culminate into what we are looking at today. Now, in our last meeting that we had last week, that between City Council and with both pension boards, there was an open discussion about different methods, all of which were determined through our actuary. And towards the end of that discussion, I described what our actuary had called the compromise plan, if you will. And really what that was we're now talking about funding the plans by taking the municipal sales tax, which has been allocated to fund both the fire and police unfunded pension liability, taking that money, investing it immediately into both pension plans equally, and then we are going to allocate the sales tax, that 25% sales tax moving forward is going to be deposited into the investment accounts. And we are also incorporating an additional one-time 15% increase in our fire fee to help fund the optional 2 method. And what that does is that, and I provided you with the sheet, which is the same sheet we discussed previously. And all I want to do, I want to highlight here, you can see, again, I'm a visual person, so I really like color. You can see here on the right-hand side, if it's green, that means we can afford it. Now, how I determined how we can afford it, if you flip to the last page there, which I provided, what that really means is that when I talk about the different funding buckets, I'm talking about the city's allocation, okay? How much the city contributes. Now, that is coming from, number one, you can see on the very left-hand side, that one-time money market contribution. So the funds that we have currently sitting in the money market that are intended to help fund this, okay, are going to be contributed immediately upon your approval into both the fire and the police. We also have then the estimated allocation of their 25% municipal sales tax. So of the total sales tax that we collect, 25% of that has been designated for this purpose. We also have the estimated additional increase in the fire fee. So what we did for that is that we took what we've actually collected over the past year, increased that by 15%, and that's what we're looking at, which is approximately about $30 per resident within the city limits per year, or less than $3 a month is really what we're talking about. So that right there, that's included into it. And then we have our current general fund appropriations, which is a combination of both how much we contribute from our general fund currently for both fire and for police. So that total combined, you can see right there in the first year, is going to be $15.8 million, of which $10,127,000 is actually we have in that money market account. And that is the cornerstone. That money that's sitting in that account is what's allowing us to do this moving forward. So I just want to make that clear. That actually is helping us to help fund this endeavor. And really, when we start talking about what are we trying to do, number one, our highest priority is we want to make sure that these pension plans are going to be in a more stable financial condition so that the benefits that these, our heroes, our protectors, our police, our fire, that they have earned, which we have promised them, they will actually get. That's our number one priority. Our number two priority, my priority as finance director, is to make sure that we can make those payments every year. So this plan right here that we have in front of you, the Great Compromise, this actually will do both of those. So that's why I wanted to present this to you. This right here, this is again from the actuary. At our last meeting, our actuaries did tell us that they were going to meet with the MPOB, which is the Municipal Pension Oversight Board. They were going to ask for a higher discount rate than we are currently allowed. They brought that to the meeting. The board had an overall positive response to it. They are going to vote on that, however, in March. In the meantime, I asked him to rerun the numbers, not at the higher discount rate, but what we are actually currently allowed. That's what you see in front of you here. So this is at the lower discount rate, which means that even at the lower discount rate, that discount rate has helped to determine how much our overall pension liability is. We can afford it. We can make those payments. So not only do we address the concerns of both pension boards that the city does have a money market account, 2 money market accounts, where these funds are currently being held, which were intended to help pay for the city's unfunded pension liability that will be immediately invested. But then also we were moving to optional 2 for our new hires. So that means that our current employees, our current retirees will not see any difference. As a matter of fact, it will be a better benefit because they know that we actually have a plan in place that will help stabilize financially those plans. And then all of our new hires, that potential liability gets shifted from the city to the state moving forward. And we just pay a percentage of gross wages determined every year by the state. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, ma'am.
Which bucket of money does the payment for the new hires into the state plan, which does that come out of?
Okay, so that right there, if you're taking a look, so I'm on page 3. Our actuaries didn't actually separate between how much is going to be in the new hires versus how much we currently have for our current employees and our current retirees. They basically lumped it all in one, and they made the assumption that we are going to continue bringing on new hires the same number that we have been historically over the past, I don't know if they did it over 10 years or 15 years, whatever they did, but that is included in their numbers. They did take that into consideration. So when they gave us their projections, it's based off of not only do we have who we currently have for retirees and their mortality and morbidity, thank you, but also our current employees and when they will retire. They have all of our census data. And then they are projecting based off our history, our actual history, how many new hires we are going to have moving forward over the course of until 2064. So which bucket is that going to be funded by? That's really going to be coming out of our general fund appropriations at that point. But if you're trying to determine how much, if you're going to carve that out, we weren't given those numbers specifically. But does that answer your question?
So eventually, could it come out of other buckets, or it's been determined not?
At 26, I mean, when we get to 2064, potentially.
Okay.
What I'm really trying to tell you is I don't have the exact answer.
That's okay.
Because
As long as the amount is included.
40 years from now?
Right, as long as the amount is included in there,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
then
yes.
we're good.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
I have a question about the fire fee amount. Would you like me to ask that now while John is here, or wait until agenda item G?
I think we should stick with the item G, please.
Okay.
I will ask you to come back.
Hey, I'd be more than happy to.
And any other questions in regards to this? Here we go. Then I seek a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay. And you guys questions for John, and you're waiting for item G. Is there any other questions or comments before we?
Thanks for spelling this out. I think you do a nice job of painting the picture and putting it in numbers and making it understandable, and
Thank you, sir.
it's nicely done.
Thank you.
Color coding.
I'm a very visual person. When I take it, you can ask Emily. I mean, she comes in, I have a whiteboard, I've erased it a couple times, you know, trying to draw things out. It just works for me.
I think I also would like to express my appreciation for how you handled our meeting last week in terms of spelling out what all of this means for everybody when we had police and the fire department with us and we were all in discussion. You're just, I really appreciate
Thank you,
the
sir.
way that you handled that situation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I think you're good. Craig will take it away.
Yep. Bill Queckie?
Yes.
Wheezy Michael?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull?
Yes.
Dave Hirschbarger?
Yes.
Brian Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Buchanan?
Yes. Passes 7-0. Item F, consideration of approval of a first reading of an ordinance closing the fire pension plan to new entrants, selecting option 2 financing method, and authorizing enrollment of new hires in the municipal police officers and firefighter retirement system. Same thing, but this time for the fire. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification. Just so people know.
Clarification. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second?
All right. And again, if the clerk would be so kind.
Yes. Bill Queckie?
Yes.
Wheezy Michael?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull?
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger?
Yes.
Brian Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Buchanan?
Yes, passes 7-0. Next, we have the consideration of approval of a first reading of an ordinance amending Article 747, establishing fire protection service charges. Jonathan, would you mind coming back up?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, the proposed increase of the fire fees is a one-time 15% increase. A majority of this, overwhelming majority of this, is going to help fund what we just talked about for the funding of our police and fire pension. Now, I should clarify, not to fund the police, I shouldn't have said that, to fund the fire pension portion.
I do have a question. Per page 3, our 15% increase is anticipated to bring in $611,505.70 yearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Over here in your surplus, based on all of those pots of money added together, which include the current municipal tax, the estimated additional increase in fire fee, and our general fund appropriations that we've been putting in. That comes to $5.6 million. Your green numbers here show that with the contributions that we are expected to have to make, there is quite a surplus from that 5.6 million yearly. So why are we still anticipating a fire fee increase when in reality it's not necessarily needed for the pension payments?
Thank you for bringing that point up. There's two reasons. The very first one is that the projections that we have based off from these is assuming that we are going to have currently a 6% and a 5.75% discount rate, and also the same corresponding rate on investment, so a return on investment. If the plan does higher, the employee portion, the annual required employee portion goes down for that year. If they lose money, theoretically, our employer minimum, I'm sorry, I didn't have dinner. Our annual required minimum contribution will essentially go up for that year. So there is some buffer in there. So we wanted to make sure that we did have enough buffer, if you will, to make sure that this will work. Now, we're not talking about a significant amount, okay? But if you're taking a look at the green, so for example, if we anticipate this fire fee going up approximately, I shouldn't say approximately because I have it right there in front of you, $611,505. Now remember, that number was based off from our actual last year's collected increased by 15%, okay? So every year that fluctuates. Theoretically, yes, we will collect every dollar from every taxpayer, if you will, but we just wanted to get a realistic number of how much we could expect. So that number right there, if you take a look over the next, from 2025 all the way to 2030, that number right there will help offset that. So if we ended up subtracting that off for the first, I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, okay, we wouldn't actually be able to make this work. After that, yes, it will work. But the second point that I wanted to make, so really we do need this for the first 7 years. After that, that's going to help fund another part that we're looking at the finance department that I may not be able to talk about. Okay, so basically what it's coming down to is that we want to help
You've come
out.
down that far.
We can or can't?
Go for it.
No.
Lots of things at the fire department are very expensive.
Extremely expensive, yes.
I'm like, don't ask for me to vote for something you're not willing to tell me
Well-
what you're going to spend it on.
Okay, so basically what it comes down to is that the fire department, we are talking about whether or not they are going to increase their premium pay or increase their holiday pay. Currently for their holidays, they're looking at funding a number more of holidays, so basically they're going to get paid for more holidays, not only at an 8 or a 10-hour day, but also being paid at a 24-hour day, theoretically, okay?
Can I hop in?
Yes, absolutely.
And so there's a few things that are being looked at. So in July, there was a change in the state legislation that essentially doubled the holiday amount for firefighters. So that's something that financially, an unfunded requirement that we are looking at how to deal with. And then just on sometimes the operational side, we have to replace their breathing apparatuses, their trucks. I mean, an engine, you used to be able to get an engine for $300,000 to $500,000, and right now they're closer to $1 million. And so we generally aren't as competitive with grants with a paid fire department as you would be with a volunteer fire department. And so just, we often refer to them as their toys, but they're absolutely necessary equipment for them to do their job. It's just significantly more expensive. We're looking at the replacement fire station for a fire station that's currently over 50 years old. And while we got a $6 million grant, we're still likely about $5 million short on making that happen. So it's just very expensive to run a fire department, and so having that excess, while, you know, we need it initially for that transition, long-term, that also helps us sustain working equipment. Safety gear, their turnout gear has to, their firefighting suits are typically have a lifespan about 10 years. You have to have backup suits for every firefighter, so it goes towards quite a bit of the cost to run a full-time paid fire department. So this surplus does not, this only shows that as it relates to the pension liability, not the increasing costs on everything else that it takes to run a fire department.
So there's 6 years here where our surplus is less than the 611,000 that's anticipated. And then for, you know, like the next 10 years, it's pretty close, within a couple of 100,000. But eventually we get to where we have 3 million in surplus. And there's a lot of years where it's between $500,000 to $2.5 million in surplus. I'm understanding that that will then stay, that $500,000 to $2.5 million that this is showing in surplus will stay within the fire department.
There is always way more to operate a fire department than we are collecting in fire fees, both on the operational side and the capital side. I think our current budget that we looked at today, just for the fire department, was $7 million operating budget. I have to pull the actual budget, but I mean, even in what's collected alone, is way more than from fire fees, is way more than what we would ever get back in fire fees.
How did we decide on 15% as opposed to 10% or 20% or?
That was initially looking at what would it take to cover the increase in holidays and the change in the pension funding.
My understanding, if I remember correctly, is that our fire fee does not cover our expenses for the fire department.
Correct.
No.
So what you're saying is that even if we collect this, even at the 15% increase, it's still there'll still be an amount of money that the city will have to contribute out of other funds in order to support the fire department.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What can I say?
I understand that. We've been doing that for decades.
That's true.
I just don't take lightly raising fees on
Nor do
citizens.
Nor do I. But I think when you make savings, you make those in an appropriate area, not at the expense of some other service.
And to get more to your point, when you're asking about where will the surplus go, that will stay within either the fire or the police when that's allocated between the two. It's not going to be going to a different department. That should stay within those departments.
So even though we're showing a general fund appropriation, you anticipate that we're still going to put that general fund appropriation into the police and fire departments, not leave it in the general fund?
40 years from now, I hope to say yes. And that's assuming that over the next 40 years that we don't continue to get a 3 to 4% increase in our wages and our materials and our supplies and our equipment and automobiles and everything else that it takes to run the department. Yes, ma'am.
So we're guaranteeing the general funds? I would say we would guarantee that we would guarantee fire fees. General funds, don't they get allocated based on need at the time?
If you look at how our budget is presented, we show a number of sources of revenue, whether that be property taxes, B&O, municipal service fee, fire fees, a whole number of, everything down to permit fees and citations from tickets and arrests. So we show our revenue, and then we essentially, I don't want to say lump those together, but we come out to a number, and then we work on our expenses. And so when we say that we can say that those funds are dedicated towards this service, it is because the cost to provide those services is higher than what we're collecting. And so it's not a separate bank account for almost any of our line items, where this line, which may be fire service, has a revenue coming in and an expenses coming out. It goes into one big bucket, one big pool, and then money is pulled out of that same bucket, or out of that same pool, to pay a whole number of expenses. But what we can show is that every single dollar that is spent on the fire department, whether it be through wages, operating supplies, flashlights, fire trucks, all of those expenses related to the fire department, whether, again, that be in the day-to-day operating supplies or the capital expenses, are more than what we would otherwise be collecting in the fire fees and the sales tax. All of our fees have the ability to go up, to go down. That's something that it can always be looked at and adjusted. But when we say that those funds will go towards that, it's because those expenses are higher than the revenue we would collect to otherwise do that. I don't know if that helps.
And then how about sales tax? Sales tax goes into separate funds, yes?
The sales tax comes into a sales tax fund, and then it gets divvied up from
That's
there.
correct. So the sales tax is automatically ACH'd into an account set up specifically called municipal sales tax. When that money hits the account, it's then divvied up according to the ordinances. There's 4 different buckets that goes into. One is going to be for Bow Park, one is for capital escrow, the other one is for the general fund, which the general fund is then determined each year through the budget process. And then we also have the 25%, which is currently deposited into the fire and police unfunded pension liability account.
So those are kept separate
Yes, ma'am.
until they're put into the pot where they're used?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And this probably makes more sense if you go back and look at our budget. We'll have the general fund budget, and then we have the capital budget. We have the municipal sales tax budget. It's only one page and this long because it just shows money coming in and money going out. We have the coal severance fund. There's only one line item, well, two, if sometimes there's contingency or carryover. But, so we have these different buckets that by state code are required to stay separate. But the majority of our funding and our revenue comes in through the general fund, and then some of that gets moved directly over to Bow Park, to our capital escrow, contributions to other agencies such as the library or Mountain Line. It just kind of depends on, that's almost showed as an expense to those other organizations.
I just feel like when the fire fee increase was initially presented to council, it was proposed as an absolute necessity in order to be able to afford the pension payments, and this says that's not the case.
It is for 10 years. And frankly, maybe none of us are going to be here at that time. But in 10 years, council can certainly decide to reduce the fire fee back down. But the problem is that the fire department and the police department will never pay for themselves. There is not a fee in the world that's going to pay for those departments. They're very expensive. And to have a 15% increase in fire service fees is a small price to pay to have a fully funded pension. Think about that. Something we've been kicking around for many years. And but once again, the council would have, if you really felt that strongly about it in 10 years, you could choose to do that if you felt the pension was secure without it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Realistically, once the fee is added, it's not
because
gonna cost.
what's going to happen is revenues, and we're going to talk about this in the budget time. Revenues are staying pretty stagnant, whereas what do you think is happening with expenditures? So you got this, the revenue going like this in this trajectory, and you've got the expenses going like this. At some point, the expenses, well, and they already are. We're going to have to cut out millions of dollars from requests from our departments just to balance the budget. So it's not going to make sense to reduce our revenues because the cost of doing business is only going to increase over time.
And to piggyback on your comment, Counselor, this actually came to me 2 days ago. So we've gone through many, and as you know, because I've given you a stack of them, many different revisions as it has progressed. This one right here, actually, to be completely honest with you, this is a result of something that both pension boards requested. And our actuary went through and said, you know what, I can act, and he was quite excited when he was telling me about this. I can make this work. We just need to take what one item that they're recommending, take another one, which is going to option 2. If we combine those, this is what we can do. So we've gone through many revisions. At first, we were talking about a much higher percentage over multiple years for the fire fee. We're really down to just, we can do this over just a one-time 15%, and this will also help fund these other anticipated increases that we're not just anticipating, we know are coming in the fire department. So that's going to help fund those. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
You looking for a motion? Yeah. Move to approve.
Second.
I think we're good on discussion and questions, so.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
Bill Kolecki?
Yes.
Weezy Michael?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull?
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger?
Yes.
Brian Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Bugani?
Yes, passes 7-0. Next, we have consideration of approval of a resolution amending the 2024-2025 budget revision for the Morgantown General Fund. We just got to get you a chair up there.
Seriously, thank you for the little candy, because I actually do feel better. It's like a wave came over me. So for the general fund budget revision, we actually are trying to do 5 things with this. Some of them are very minor. The one that I do want to highlight when we do get towards the end, actually it is the last item, that's actually the real meat and potatoes when it comes to this budget revision. The first one we can see right here again, and I do apologize for getting these out to you, handing these out today, like minutes before council meeting started. Brian, I hope that you got yours. I did email that to you. You did get it? Yes?
I did get it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So the first one we're talking about is for legal services. This is actually for an invoice that was for June 2024 that because of, to be quite honest with you, staff changes within the finance department that actually didn't get paid until after we have closed the books for fiscal year 2024. We paid for it in fiscal year 2025. All we're doing is simply adjusting the budget to reflect that in our current fiscal year so that we are not over our current year budget for that. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. The second one here, this is our city manager recruitment cost. Our director of human resources actually came and said that she needed an additional $38,000 due to the contract that was signed with, I forget the vendor's name?
Reftelis is the recruiter.
Okay. Reftelis, there we go. Awesome, thank you, sir. And this right here is just going to help fund that contract to make sure that our Department of Human Resources can actually fund that contract. So that's the second part of our budget revision. The third part, that is to help with our current lease revenue refunding bond series 2013A. We currently have a monthly payment. Our budget specialist actually came to me last week and said if we continue doing this, we're going to be run out of budget. She has notes back from the previous budget discussions from last fiscal year where they anticipated bringing in a small amount of carryover to help fund that because there was, I guess, either over budgeted or I'll be honest, I don't have firsthand experience of what the conversation was. Her response was that they anticipated bringing over a carryover or part of that carry forward from general fund to help fund that. That obviously did not happen in the general fund fiscal year 25 revision number 1. All that we are doing now is getting that caught up. So in that revision number 1, that overage, that carryover, there was an amount allocated to contingency. We're just rolling part of that back to help fund this monthly payment that we have to make sure that, yes, we do have budget for that payment that we are required to make. Does that make sense? Okay. The fourth one we have, and this goes back to another prior year invoice paid for in the current year in our communications department. Same exact thing. I shouldn't say same exact thing. This is an invoice that was brought to our attention by our new communications director, Brett. He's not here anymore. He's watching. He actually brought to our attention, said, hey, we had this invoice. We definitely need to get it paid. It's for last year. We've already closed the books. We're going to pay for it this year. Plus, we also need to pay this year's invoice. We need to make sure that we adjust that budget to reflect that. That's what we're doing here. And then finally, again, the meat and potatoes, this is where we are talking about the police department. So what's going on with the police department is that currently, because there is let me open it up here exactly. Because we have a surplus of funds within their budget, which is a result of their current staffing shortage. So we budgeted for a certain number of police officers. Currently, they have open positions which they are actively trying to fill. In the meantime, they are ordering 5 new police cars, which are over and beyond how much they have in their current year budget in capital escrow. The amount that they need in capital escrow to help fund that purchase of 5 additional police vehicles, we are actually taking from their current surplus that they have accumulated. So from July to now the end of December, we budgeted so much per month. They had this much, so we do have a surplus. We're not taking anything away moving forward. We're just using that surplus that they have incurred over the past 6 months, and we are going to utilize that towards the purchase of their 5 new vehicles. So we are decreasing their salaries and wages, moving that over to capital escrow, and then in capital escrow, we are designating that over to their equipment line. So it stays within the same department. And all we're doing is just transferring those funds from general fund over to capital escrow, allowing them to utilize what they currently have is just in 2 different funds.
Yes, sir. Just so you don't get misquoted.
Yes, sir.
You said decreasing their funds and wages. You were talking about taking the leftover money.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure that
thank you.
people
Yes,
are aware that we're not doing
very good point.
anything
Yes,
of the
sir.
like.
We are not decreasing their overall salaries and wages. No, sir. We are actually just taking how much they had in surplus because they had so much budgeted. They do have open positions that we do have that surplus, unutilized budget. Let's term it as that. And we're moving to someplace where they can utilize it now.
Are they leased or are these
Those are purchased.
These will be purchased.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Move to approve?
Second.
And I think you explained well. All right. No more questions?
Bill Koecki?
Yes.
Weezy Michael?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine?
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull?
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger?
Yes.
Brian Butcher? Mayor Bugana?
Yes, passes 7-0. And the last one is the consideration of approval of a resolution amending the 24-25 budget revision for the Morgantown Capital escrow fund. This is the last time you have to stand up here, unless you just want to keep
Thank you.
hanging out.
I appreciate that. So with the capital fund revision number 4, we have 4 items up for your consideration. The very first one, this is kind of piggybacks on what we discussed over with the general fund, where we actually had 1 bond payment that we needed to add additional budget towards. Same exact thing, only now we're talking the capital escrow. This is a $52,000 and change monthly payment that we make. We need to add additional budget to that to make sure that, yes, we have authorization to make those payments within our budget. The second we have is this is an acquisition of a new GIS server through our IT department. We are budgeting approximately $10,313 for this. It's not only for the hardware, but also for the software. This will be replacing a aging server and help updating their overall technology plan within the department. And we are utilizing funds which were identified in the city manager's budget under let me make sure I'm not misquoting. Under contracted services, there was approximately, there was $14,450 that was has been carried forward over a number of years now, which we can utilize $10,313 of that for this purchase, so we don't have to use anyone else's budget, any other departments. We currently have that, which is not being utilized. We'd like to use that for this purpose, and the balance that we have, which is $4,137, we're just allocating that back into our contingency fund. For number 3, we have, this is where we are bringing in our revenue from general fund for the police's acquisition of 5 additional new police vehicles. And we are allocating that directly to their department's capital outlay for equipment. And that is a total of $65,000.
So we're getting 10 new vehicles?
5.
Okay.
5.
Okay, yeah.
So in general fund, we're moving it to, as a transfer to capital escrow. In capital escrow, we bring in the revenue from general fund, and then we have the expenditure for those vehicles.
Perfect.
We're just moving from one fund to the other fund, still within the same department. And then finally, we have here, all we're doing is that we are recognizing that we brought in additional revenues for the community development block grant reimbursements. So what ends up happening is that we typically spend the money, we get reimbursed for those, and when we recognize the revenue, we adjust our budget for that. So that way we are not over budgeting our expenditures. We try to keep that as close to zero as possible. So we brought in an additional $67,384, and we are allocating that back to the expense. Any questions on that?
Move to approve.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you for the candy.
All right, no questions? And I have a motion and seconds.
Jen, seconded.
I didn't hear the second.
The second was quiet over here, sorry.
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Weezy Michael,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Celine,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes?
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Brian Butcher,
Yeah.
Mayor Buchanan.
Yes, passes 7-0. And for the last time,
Very good.
the city manager.
I'm not sure that feels real good, but thank you. First, I wanted to, I've witnessed firsthand the level of detail and study and time that's gone into studying the pension programs. And I know that John has put a tremendous amount of energy into that, at the expense of other things, frankly. And I think trying to juggle all that has created a tremendous amount of stress on his life and probably on his family too. But I wanted to publicly express appreciation to you, John. His interactions with our actuary, In fact, I would guess that he's probably the expert on pension plans, fire and police pension plans in the state. I'm probably going to have to work hard to beat other cities away from him. They're going to want him to come in and put on trainings for him or whatever, just because he's done such a tremendous job. And I hope we all appreciate that as much as I do. Thank you so much. The other item that I had was some of us attended the ribbon cutting at the airport. It was great to see a 50-passenger twin-engine jet standing out there. A number of individuals said, "Man, I feel a lot safer." And I think in many ways having a smaller aircraft has really limited the number of enplanements that happen out of our airport. The thing I would say about that is there's been, working up to this first flight, there's been a tremendous amount of effort on the part of the CVB. They participated, the universities participated, our communication staff. The city has put out a really aggressive plan for promoting the airport and the airline. And the whole purpose of that is to and I feel confident. In a year from now, you can tell me I was all wet, but I feel confident that next year at this time we'll be well beyond the 10,000 enplanements. And what does that mean? We now will be able to attract $1.5 million from the FAA automatically to be able to allocate towards capital projects at the airport, something we desperately need. So my caution is let's not get complacent. I think city administration plans to continue supporting those strong promotional efforts just to make sure that there's sustainability in the number of riderships that occur in that airline. And if we do that, I believe it's not just this airline. You'll have other airlines coming into this area and providing air service. So it's a great day for us, and I hope we recognize what an important day it has been. It's encapsulated on pictures, in pictures now. You can't argue with pictures, right? Bill was there, you know. Anyway, thank you so much for your support there, and frankly, folks, your support over the last 4 years. We've accomplished a lot of things. Some things very tough, very difficult, and yet without your support, it couldn't have been possible. And so I express appreciation personally for that, and I know that going forward, you've got some real capable people. Damien will do wonderfully, and Emily will be back. Things will get back to normal. I'm pretty confident of that. So thank you so much.
City Clerk.
First, I want to say, Kim, thank you. I appreciate your steadfast leadership. I remember the first time that we saw your face on the big Zoom down at the wharf, whenever, we were looking for a new city manager, and after you talked and after the others talked, I said, that's our guy. And so I just want to say thank you. Your leadership has not gone unnoticed from the times we had our department head and our administrators. We did little activities reminding us how we need to support each other and our employees, and we walked a plank, and just fun things like that to help remind us that, we need to be here for each other, and we're not, you're leaving us, and we're sad for that, but you're leaving us with a lot of stuff, a lot of leadership that you have shown in the last several years. So I just want to say thank you. I wish you the best in your retirement. Stay healthy.
All right. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Kim, congratulations on a well-earned retirement. It's so nice to see you get those accolades tonight and have your family and your support structure here. I have really appreciated working with you, learning from you. I expect to continue to do those things even though you're retiring. Congratulations and thank you. I appreciated hearing some comments on the downtown vending tonight. The city's been doing a lot to engage and get comments from people who are both operating brick and mortar businesses and mobile businesses downtown as they work on making that program work for everybody. We had spoken with council at your committee of the whole about kind of interim administrative changes and then forthcoming legislative changes. So the rules that we discussed that are designed to make that cleanliness issue get addressed promptly have been adopted by the Parking Authority. The Parking Authority will continue to administer the program for now with no planned changes in where the spaces are located, but they'll be using those rules and giving people monthly permits so that the city has an option to look at longer-term solutions going forward. And I'll get in touch with our working group and ask about reaching out to the Motown Munch business and others who might be interested in working on that. Secondly, we had our regular municipal attorneys call this afternoon. Professor Jesse Richardson at the WVU Land Use Clinic discussed how his group will be updating their, I think it's called the West Virginia LEAP program. This is a kind of informational program that they and their students put together for West Virginia municipalities and counties to talk about how to address dilapidated structures in their communities. It's been a big help for many municipalities. There have been several changes in law in part based on difficulties they identified, and so they're updating that now, and we'll probably be presenting a more final product at our meeting in the spring. So we'll keep up to date with them and communicate that with you all. That's all I have this evening.
All right. Thank you. Let's start with maybe, Ryan, you want to start us off since you're on the internet?
Sure, I can do that. I'm not going to have too much to report. I apologize for not being able to be there, especially Kim with you being on the way out. But I did want to just say I really appreciate your dedication to the city and your time with us. Thank you so much for your leadership, for putting up with us and all the headaches we caused. I'm not there tonight because I had some kind of stomach bug that was passed around the schools, I guess. My little one gave it to me. But yeah, once again, just want to say my appreciation to you, Kim. Thank you so much. And the only other comment I wanted to make was just, I guess I'm disappointed by the comments that were made about the fire and police pension plan. I felt like we left that meeting in a pretty good place, and I'm not sure like what might have changed in between now and then. Still happy to have any further conversations with folks about the pension plan and what they could see to help us more readily address their concerns. But it just felt like a different tenor than what we left that meeting with as far as what we heard from public comment. So that was a little disappointing. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good night. And if I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Go ahead, Council. Marshall.
Thank you. Kim, you'll be missed. You came on board and we handed you some tough issues and some great opportunities, and I've really appreciated your leadership in addressing them all. You've positioned us in a good spot. And John, thank you so much for your work with the pension funds. Just phenomenal the way you've helped, I think, champion this message in meetings to us and providing the information in a very digestible way. I'm really proud to be a part of this council that I think we've addressed a really difficult issue that's been hanging out there. When I first ran for council, that was pretty common question to me is, what are you going to do about that unfunded pension by constituents, knowing that it's just this big liability sitting out there? And I'm happy that we are addressing it, and we're going to take care of it and deliver on the promise to those that are currently with us and retired, and have a good plan for those that come on board after July 1. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that's really all I have. Just Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday Season to everybody, and go Mountaineers.
Wow, they're about to start.
You got
We gotta
30
go
minutes.
fast.
So it's 2 minutes.
I know.
I will echo John. I very much appreciate the way that you present things to us. I find it very useful when you come with things spelled out and color-coded. I'm also a visual person, so I do appreciate the way that you operate and the way you run the finance department, and I am grateful for your willingness to take that on. I won't say a whole lot either. I will say that the city and county funded winter shelter opened last week, a little earlier than anticipated, or a little earlier than promised. I was at the shelter yesterday, and she said that they've had less than 10 people per night so far. There have been some ongoing concerns with transportation. A lot of the social services up there are trying to work through that and get the clients used to the new system of passes. So definitely a work in progress, and I've communicated with Assistant Manager Mazzarelli on some of the concerns there. So hopefully something we're working on. I was at the shelter yesterday. My son and I adopted a few of the triage shelter residents for the holidays. So as we were taking our donations, we also took some donations of deodorant and things. The shelter is in need of some items such as shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and deodorant. I'm sure there are other things. That was the most recent list that she put out. So if you have any extra room in your personal budget this holiday season, I'm sure she would be grateful for any items that could be contributed. Yeah. Good luck to Assistant Manager Mazzarelli on the birth of child number 3. I look forward to meeting the little fella, and I hope I'm more than happy to watch the girls while you're in labor, but I hope you wait on your family to arrive. We have an agreement that if the baby comes before, I'm on the list. The baby comes before family comes. So we love Mila and Violet, and can't wait to meet the new fella. And Kim, I have appreciated your willingness to tackle a lot of the hard issues that the city, I won't say has been neglecting, but maybe avoiding for a long time. And some of those things you and I have worked on together, and some of those we have definitely not agreed on. But I have appreciated your willingness to do those things and your leadership and advice that you have given to me over the last several years since I got elected. And I wish you a happy retirement, and congratulations. Enjoy your family. I'm done.
Oh, I'm supposed to say something now. Kim, this has been great, and just really appreciate echoing the sentiments that have come before me. I have appreciated your work at the airport. I've appreciated your work with Morgantown Area Partners. I've appreciated your work on any number of issues dealing with land, personnel, and not the easy ones. So it's really made a huge difference around here, and just appreciate your efforts, because it's not easy. So yes, do enjoy your family. I'm sure they're waiting to have a little bit more time, so that's nice for you and nice for them. I appreciate the working with the food cart community as far as making changes, one step at a time, because I do think that it will make a difference how close how far up High Street we have them located. So I think working with them and getting them to realize how important it is to clean up and make our food court area, our food cart area viable wherever it's located, and working on that first and continuing to consult. I really appreciate with the pension funds, the fact that we could have a meeting, that we could make some changes, that we could work with the fire department and the police department and their respective groups that deal with their pension funds and how they are, what do you call it? How they are, what is that called? Invested, pardon me. I think the strategy that I was talking about, when I was talking about strategy, was it means not putting funds into a plan before we have a plan to become solvent. And so it means that when we had talked before about putting funds into available, when we put money into a fund and it continues to not be viable and be in the 20% funded category, that's not a viable plan. If we have a plan to become solvent and we put funds in and the plan becomes more and more solvent until you have a date when it's funded, that is a plan, that is a strategy, that is what I was talking about. So I really appreciate that we have now this type of strategy so that for all concerned, we can take care of these pension issues. And then I just, my last comment is that on December 13th, last Friday, I got to take the first flight on a new route from Chicago's O'Hare Airport to the Morgantown Municipal Airport, along with 20 plus passengers to arrive here around midnight. This jet-powered flight was smooth, enjoyable, on time. It was a 50-passenger plane with a particularly wonderful flight attendant, completely memorable. I particularly appreciate United's app, their texting message program, where they let you know when you need to get over there and really get loaded and really loaded on the plane. Goodness. I
appreciate that service.
That's right. Anyway, it's good for me to know when you need to go over there and get on the plane versus when you are going to take off when it is too late to go over to get on the plane. And encourage all who reside in Morgantown and their family members, friends, and colleagues to purchase tickets on this new Chicago O'Hare service from Morgantown and back again, and also the service to Dulles and DC. That it makes a big difference if we can get those 10,000 employments. It means that we would get $1 million for our airport. And so that is how we all can help support this new commitment from United and make good on our promises at the airport. So thank you all. That's it for me.
I, as usual, don't have a lot to say, but thank you, Kim. Emily, good luck. And you've taught me a lot. I appreciate it. So that's really all I have to say today.
Thank you. I don't have much more to add. Actually, I want to say that I'm very, very proud of the administration that we have and the people that are part of it. Thank you. We've had a very significant year, more significant sometimes than I really would like, but I'm looking at where we are and where we've come from and where we're going, and I'm very hopeful. It doesn't mean that there are not going to be obstacles that we'll face. Certainly they'll come. But I think we're well positioned to handle those obstacles. I think we have more promise than I've ever seen in terms of how the city might move forward. And I think it's again, in a positive direction. Kim, you've been very instrumental in doing that. And I'm sorry to see you go, but I'm happy that you're pursuing your life also, and I wish you the best for that. And I'm thankful for what you've accomplished while you're here. And other than that, I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday. I hope it's good and that you share that with family, and I'll look forward to the next year.
Thank you. First, I'll say congrats, Ms. Mazzarelli. I look forward to fella, I believe was the term you used. Joining our youth team.
I don't think that's a secret.
Joining our youth team in 4 years, although the girls are also still welcome to join the youth wrestling team at Morgantown High.
Small girls on the wrestling team.
They're gonna. Our girls wrestling team is growing, and once they sanction it, they'll be breaking glass ceilings. And isn't that what it's all about?
Those girls have tackled me at more than one city concert. They're like the
Mondays
same
and
size as
Thursdays. With that said, I got to have a very busy week from the HRC. I was surprised to know that I was presenting, but it was wonderful to do. And I was right after I had left the play at the Met, which was fantastic. I saw 2 plays in the last 7 days. So I saw, what was the first one? The Nutcracker, and then I saw Elf, which was really good.
Elf is good.
The kid that played Elf did a fantastic job, especially being very reminiscent of Will Ferrell. So, and then I felt like today was a good representation, Kim, of what you've been able to do in terms of collaboration amongst the city and getting everybody involved. And that was shown in the airport and what we have going on. I will also add that for $250, you can go round trip from the Morgantown Airport to Denver, Colorado. I've already begun my planning on that.
Wow.
And then I want to also express my gratitude. Like I said earlier, you're the first person I met when I was waiting to be interviewed, and I was watching on the TV screen in the foyer downstairs. And he said, "Oh, you'll be fine." And well, I'm going to go stumble over my words now that I've been told I'll be fine. And then lastly, I would say that great leadership is typically representative of a person that can walk away and have the ship continue on, business as usual. And that's because of the trust you build in those that you have around you to do their role and their job. And I think that is a true testament to what you've been able to do here, and especially since even as you're getting ready to celebrate your retirement, you have a group of people that are more than capable to continue on and put our city in a position that is where it deserves to be and where it is. And for that, I'm genuinely appreciative. Not as a member of this council, but as a resident that gets to call this place my home. So thank you. And that will end my report, and a happy holidays to everybody.
Joe, can I say one more thing? I meant to thank Annie for the HRC. You did a wonderful job putting it together, and I really appreciate all the hard work you put into that. And anyway, I don't speak loud, but I wanted to slip that in there.
Good choices, too.
All right. And then, on that note, do I have?
Let's see. We are wanting to,
Move to executive session?
yes, pursuant to State Code Section 69A 4B9, to consider matters related to acquisition or development of property in the Union District, and pursuant to State Code Section 69A 4B12, to discuss matters protected by attorney-client privilege. Is there a second?
So I'll second.